Senator Kim, I'm going to go ahead and go this time. I apologize. Mr. Downey, you submitted comments to the Biden Department of Labor on registered apprenticeships, saying curriculum design should be left to plan sponsors who are the best positioned to craft a curriculum that fits their industry. So very briefly, I've got a bunch of questions. Why are program sponsors in the best position to craft that curriculum? And how can the federal government promote flexibility for industry and programs? And be tight with your answer, please.
You want the perspective from the contractors out there doing this work.
I want your perspective.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question then? Because I misunderstood.
The International Union of Operating Engineers submitted comments to the Biden Department of Labor proposed rules on registered apprenticeships, saying that curriculum design should be left to plan sponsors who are in the best position to craft a curriculum fitting their industry.
They're in the industry. You get the worker's perspective and the employer's perspective creating that curriculum.
So again, not somebody in Washington, D.C. kind of imagining what might be the best fit, but rather you guys deciding what the best fit would be.
Because we're in that business, correct.
Okay. Mr. Laney, registration requirements are inconsistent state to state. To what extent does this deter registration at state levels? How can and should this be streamlined and standardized?
Yes, sir. It makes registration, especially for multi-state employers, very difficult. Similar to how you need to be close to the workers and close to the employers to understand what the curriculum needs to be. You also need to be close to the people in the states to understand what those local differences are, whether it's prevailing wages or apprenticeship ratios or whatever. So we are advocating to move away from the concept of reciprocity, which would ask Alabama to just accept a set of standards walking in the door from Pennsylvania or something like that. Move towards interoperability, where we make the description of the work and the description of the training. That's the part that we need to look at, the meat and potatoes of the apprenticeship, the RTI and the OJL. Pre-vet those across states so that any employer can go and say, I need to work in this state, this state, this state, pull down a set of standards off the shelf, as you will, and know that those standards are going to be acceptable in the state that they move to.
Let me just say, I once had a patient who taught me that the Southeast United States is like a wok bowl in terms of there's a job in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and the workers go there. And then there's a job on a nuclear plant in Georgia, and they go there. But the flexibility would be needed across all states, so that makes sense to me.
Absolutely.
You also, let me ask this, where do you strike the balance between creating standards flexible enough to meet the workforce need, but uniform enough to encourage the apprenticeship program registration?
You strike it at the employers and at the workers. You go to those people and ask them what needs to be done. You mentioned earlier, and previous comments were made about not starting in DC and then telling everybody what needs to be in a training outline. So our project, Paisy, is working in exactly
Let me ask you, would that end up restricting that particular employee to a particular hunting and Ingalls, for example? You know, if it's I'm just asking, I'm curious. If the industry establishes what it is, could the employee then go someplace else with the same training, maybe to Ingalls? I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, sir. If it is written in terms of competencies, then we're not nailing this down to something that's only done at that particular place. These are the broad skills and the competencies, the abilities of that person, so they are portable and transferable between employers. The worker has mobility, but also on the whole, just like that walk example you gave, I don't need shipbuilders right now, but somebody on the other side of town does need shipbuilders. We've both satisfied our worker requirements because we've built these training outlines in a way that are applicable across the board.
Ms. McCain, Dr. McCain, I'm sorry. Registered apprenticeship programs currently must fall under a DOL-approved occupation code before an apprenticeship can be registered. But these occupations are evolving. Man, we've just been hearing about this. So do these requirements give you the flexibility to position a worker to succeed in an occupation, and if the occupation evolves, et cetera, et cetera?
No, it does not, because because it's so restricted, a lot of times your small businesses, they can't fit their program within the registered apprenticeships, what are already registered. So how do we come up with new apprenticeship programs? We need that flexibility to be able to do that, because right now it's too restrictive.
Mr. Booker, I'm very impressed with the work you and Mr. Downey are doing. It does seem like if you have an occupational code, the occupation is evolving. How do you, or Mr. Downey, how do you all handle, I only got 16 seconds, how do you handle this? Does there need to be more flexibility in the occupation code?
Specific to the code, I can't answer that. I can tell you what we do practically is when our career evolves, when it changes, we go to the state, to the federal government and say, here's what the skills of the labor, the general labor classification, and we get that squared away. So there's flexibility within the current system that we use today as our careers and our classifications evolve over time.
Mr. Downey, I have to hold on you because I got to discipline myself as well as everybody else. Senator Kim.